now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
dude, do the thing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's installment of the Dads. Not always on wrestling, but in fact, we will be, to take a phrase, talking wrestling. As today we are going to discuss the top 10 ECW champions of all time. Now, I know we've said this a few times on Talk Wrestling, on Open Mic Night. Here is how we classify the ECW champions. We are starting from the moment when Shane Douglas won the NWA title, threw it down, and proclaimed the Eastern Championship Wrestling title as the Extreme Championship Wrestling World title.
Yes.
All the way up until Big Zeke. For whatever that was. Okay.
45 seconds.
Anything
Maybe.
that was prior to Shane winning the NWA title as the Eastern Championship Wrestling lineage doesn't count.
That's right.
Because if we're going to be fair, there weren't that many great reigns then anyways. And when people think ECW, they don't think Eastern Championship Wrestling. They think Extreme Championship Wrestling.
When you consider the fact that Don Morocco and Tito Santana were ECW champions before 1994, yeah, I know. Everybody home's going, huh? Yeah. I'm that messed up from the last 2 days, and I still remember that shit. God help me.
Yeah.
Oofa.
And that's just because you're a historian, so you're paid to remember that shit.
Yes.
But Joe Blow from Kokomo wouldn't remember that.
No. Unless we forget Surfer Sandman.
That's right.
Oofa. You think Surfer Sting's bad, kids.
When the Sandman was a dude that chilled on the sand because he was a surfer.
Sandman, because it worked, and then it didn't because it was a goofy. Okay. I gave myself a headache thinking about it. That and the booze yesterday. Anyway, dude, I think we picked the perfect day to do ECW champions because I don't think I've felt any more extreme than I do today.
Right.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how I have a voice after the last 3 nights of doing calls, 4 shows in 3 nights, and then we've got another one tonight that we'll be discussing during the shills at the end of the show.
I don't want to. I don't want to wrestling no more.
Yeah, for real.
I'm so tired. Oh my God. Plus meeting the Undertaker. Plus going to WrestleMania. Plus going to the podcast last Wednesday. Yeah, April 6th. The Thursday can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
I go CPC.
And then you still got the review to do tomorrow.
Oh, piss.
You got the Greg Sherry show on Wednesday.
Well, no. Luckily, the Greg Sherry show won't be a thing.
Somehow you've got to be in the director's chair for Stat Boy Sports Bar tomorrow.
Yeah, and then and
deal with those shenanigans.
Well, no, because I think we're going at the same time as No DQ Review, so maybe I don't know what. But yeah, Wednesday I'm not doing Greg's show because I'm gonna be at Disneyland with the kiddo for his birthday.
That's right.
Yeah,
you got the kiddo's birthday.
Yeah. We're not doing that tomorrow because he wants to go watch his precious Connor McDavid play for the Oilers against his own damn hometown team. Anyway.
But we digress.
Yes.
Buy the shirt.
That shirt right there. Buy that shit right there.
Today we are here to discuss professional wrestling. Damn it.
That's right. Hardcore extreme wrestling at that.
There we go. So we're going to start the list with our number 10 ECW World Champion. And we're prepared for the onslaught of hate mail we are going to get for this.
Yes.
If you're watching live, the comments are over there next to Meacham. If you're watching on demand, the comments down here. But coming in at number 10 as far as ECW champions go, and I will, assuming he can verbalize properly, I will let him elaborate on this.
Yes.
Pontificate, if you will.
We have our reasons. We do.
Sabu comes in at number 10.
All right. Before y'all start making tweets, just settle down for a second. Because here's the deal. Here's the thing, as we say.
Buy that shirt too.
Yeah. Sabu as ECW World Champion. was like 5 days, maybe 6, because he had the match with somebody that'll be on our list later in 1997, hence that version of the belt, and then lost it at the next pay-per-view, which was, I think, like I said, 5 or 6 days later. I don't have the exact date in front of me. Forgive my, you praise my historical accuracy about Morocco and Santana being champions. I don't remember the damn date of Born to Be Wired versus Hardcore Heaven, but it was within a week. So that's why it's so low. Yes, Sabu will always be identified. Freaking Tony and his, yahoos talk about the pillars of AEW. Sabu was one of the best ID'd people when it comes to extreme championship wrestling. He was the guy that arguably brought the extreme to ECW with his homicidal, suicidal, genocidal craziness.
Death-defying Sabu, yep.
Yeah, the fact that there was a dream match to bring Cactus Jack in to face Sabu tells you all you need to know about how extreme Sabu was. But he was only the world champion when it became a world championship after 1994, and it was 5 days or 6 days. Not exactly a great world championship reign. But, luckily, I guess for Sabu, there was such a thing as WWE ECW, so there were worse champions. If we're going to be real. I mean,
For those of you
me.
at home that are wondering, Do-Rag McMahon is not on our list.
No. But by that
although
same token,
he was champion longer than Sabu was.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Let that stew around in your brain a little bit.
Yeah. Mr. McMahon was longer reigning ECW world champion over, I believe, both of Sabu's reigns. One with Eastern, one with Extreme. I think. Yeah, exactly. So, and for the record, before we go any further, I did want to point this out to everybody. As beautiful a moment as it was in the WWE version of ECW, Tommy Dreamer is not here either. And he and I went back and forth on it. We really did. But it came down to, even in WWE ECW, when he won it, he wasn't champion that long. And in the grand scheme, the big picture of ECW history, it didn't make the impact it should have made. And in the original ECW, he was champion for about 42 seconds because he never wanted to be the ECW world champion. He was mad about it because everybody else had bailed on the company. And there was no other choice but to give him the title just to transition it to Justin. We'll talk about Justin later for sure. But yeah. So so just so you guys don't get, where the hell is Tommy Dreamer? We have valid reasons.
Much like we have valid reasons for the people that are number 9. Number 9 is a tie for us.
Yes.
Because of, again, the reasons that are going to be given here.
Yes.
But coming in at number 9, Rhino and Rob Van Dam.
May the gods of Extreme forgive me for that. And
may Rob forgive you with that.
I was going to say, yeah, may Rob not kick my goddamn head off next time I see him. All right.
I think when he hears your logic, he'll understand. Go ahead, Meacham.
Well, I mean, yes. Without Rob, well, let me talk about Rhino first.
Yes.
Because
since he was the champion, the last champion of the real ECW.
Yes.
And Rob being the first champion of the WWECW.
Correct. So Rhino, I mean, you just said it. He became champion at the last pay-per-view, guilty as charged, January 7th. Their last show was January 13th. Granted, they didn't file for bankruptcy until April, but for all intents and purposes, January 13th, the company's dead. That's it. It's over. And, people will argue and still say to this day, Paulie had checked out long before that anyway. Tommy was running the shows at this point. Fair. So Rhino being booked as the world champion was a hope that there would be a future. A hope that RVD main eventing with Jerry Lynn at Guilty as Charged after Sandman became champion would finally lead to the moment that took us 5 years to get to, which was RVD winning a world title in the middle of an ECW ring. Yes, it was WWE ECW, granted. And then
At the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Hammerstein Ballroom, one night stand, man. Again, with his wife at the time there, and everybody that should have been there ECW wise, arguably being there.
And Kevin Owens. He was there too.
And Kevin Owens in the crowd. Yes. It's amazing how much stuff Kevin Owens was there for.
Jeff Meacham wasn't there.
No.
Kevin Owens was.
No, because Jeff Meacham was scheduled to work at his job that he was employed at the time. And then his hours got switched. So to be fair, we had a wonderful watch party at Webmaster Wade's house and got to see it, together as a Team XMV group. So there was that. And then we filmed that god-awful backyard match that was. Anyway, I'm sorry, not backyard, front yard. Anyway, please don't ask me to have you look it up because I don't even know where the hell it is anymore. Anyway, but Rob being the world champion was such a wonderful moment for all of us that were Frobs of Wrens. Friends of Rob's.
Yes.
And were so jazzed about the ECW brand being back.
For the 30 seconds that we were glad it was back, because then ECW on Sci-Fi became a thing and we saw the zombie and we knew where we were headed from there.
Well, luckily, ECW on Sci-Fi, the opening segment was Rob being awarded the championship from Paul. So at least we had like I said, a opening segment of ooh, ah, and then then the zombie walked out to face Sandman, and it was like, all right, this is what we're doing. Cool. But even then, he was still the champion. He was the WWE champion, and he was the ECW champion.
Until he got busted.
And then he and Sabu decided to take a drive and not realize it's not 2023 and people a little more anal about weed and other stuff in the car. And again, he'll tell you now, he told me then. Best thing that could have happened. Because him getting busted for weed opened up awareness that had not been there in the mainstream community. It really hadn't been. And how many states is weed legal in now? Now, granted, did Rob and the bust really make that a thing? Probably not. But it was a jumping off point for wrestling fans being more aware of the differences in the laws that were governing this country when it came to types of drugs and levels of drug lethal levels or whatever you want to call it. Because at the time, marijuana was classified in the same toxicity as heroin.
Yeah.
No joke, people. So, but again, we're not here to have an FDA conversation. We're talking about ECW champions.
Right.
Rob was champion for freaking 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as he was the spearhead of bringing ECW back, as much as he was the face of the new brand, he was champion for 3 weeks, y'all. And
sadly.
Yeah. But like you said, that first show, even with Rob continuing to reign as champion, we knew we were in trouble. And the minute Big Show beat him in Philly, with Paul's help, drug bust or not, it was like beginning of the end. That was it. It was done. They were handcuffed and completely pigeonholed before they even got out of the first full month of the brand being back. So that's why Rob and Rhino were so low. Send your hate tweets here at @Jeff Meacham, but it is what it is, kids.
Yeah. All right. So that's the only cop-out we're taking. That's the only tie that's on the list.
Yes.
However, that's not the only WWECW champion on our list. Is coming in at number 8, and here's where the hate mail really comes in, at least towards Meacham.
Oh, yeah.
CM Punk.
Because I've mentioned about this guy
Jeff
for 10
Meacham,
years. Yeah.
Jeff Meacham puts CM Punk above Sabu, Rhino, and his best friend, Rob Van Dam.
Best friend, Jesus Christ. Let's just lay on the hype.
But at the end of the day, And I really had to go to bat for this one.
Yes, you did.
So I'm going to talk a little bit here, and then you can jump in afterwards.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, the reason why I pushed so hard for Punk to be on this list, nothing to do with Jeff's hatred for the man. He was Paulie's #1 draft pick for the new ECW.
Yep.
The Extreme Chamber that was what it was. Paulie wanted Punk to walk out of it as champion.
Yep.
You know, Punk, for everything that Rob was supposed to be, the Austin, the Rock, the Triple H, the face of this new ECW, Punk was supposed to be the Orton, the Cena. He was supposed to be that star on the rise that Paul had faith in to throw the company on his shoulders and his back and let him carry it.
Yep.
And because Vince and company didn't see it in Punk, they never saw it in Punk. Even when we had the Summer of Punk post Money in the Bank, they never saw it in Punk. Paul knew what he had.
Yep.
He knew that he had that diamond in the rough. He had that golden ticket. And he was supposed to be the guy. The fact that politics and booking was what it was is part of why Paulie left in the first goddamn place.
Yep.
Because they wouldn't let him make him the guy.
No.
Think about this for a second. You know, we talk about how we were going to have Punk and Benoit at that show when that weekend occurred, and it ended up being Johnny Nitro who morphed into John Morrison.
Yes.
That very easily could have been that same match, but it's Punk defending the title against Benoit.
Yep. Well, figure it this way. Benoit was supposed to be in the spot that Morrison was in, so the winner was going to be the new champion because of Lashley being stripped back of the title because, you know, Durag McMahon just cannot have his Lashley have his way. So yeah, I don't disagree with Punk being on this list, nor do I disagree with him being above the people he's above, because at the end of the day, you're right. Think about it this way, for people that are going to question, how can we possibly justify this? And you know, well, yeah, he was Paul's boy, but okay. Here are the folks that are Paul's boy that never really got a shake until, well, maybe one. Ravishing Rick Rude in WCW. Managed by Paul Dangerously. Does Rude get as over as he gets? Probably not. Stunning Steve Austin being added to Dangerous Alliance. Does Steve Austin even get past the television title without that rub? Probably not. Superstar Steve Austin being brought into ECW because Paul Heyman threw him a promo bone. Without Superstar Steve Austin, we don't get Stone Cold. Period. End of sentence. But let's go ahead and keep questioning Paulie's, you know, booking and, you know, picking his guys. Let's just go ahead and keep doing it. Brock Lesnar. Hello. You know, Brock Lesnar had all the freaking ability of an NCAA heavyweight champion, for crying out loud.
And the one name that always seems to get lost in the shuffle, you know, some jabroni from Texas named Mean Mark Callis.
Yeah. Who Paul told Bruce Pritchard was available. Let's not forget that. Paulie's working for WCW, and he's still telling Bruce, dude, they're not doing shit with this guy. Get him over there. Let Vince have this guy and do what the hell he did with him for 30 years. God. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's not let Paul, you know, book his shows the way he wants to. Punk, and again, Paul has said that Chris Benoit would have been the ECW champion in ECW originally. Paul has said that Benoit would have been ECW champion in 2007, even though he wasn't booking at the time, because that was the direction they were going to go. So, you know, Paulie may be a little bit extreme, a little bit out there, but when it comes to booking champions, he's not wrong. And even here, CM Punk in either ECW, even in the original, would have been a solid long-term world champion if given the opportunity. But the fact that he had to win it because of circumstances beyond the company's control, and they still booked him to lose to Chavo effing Guerrero. No shit on Chavo or anything, but the fact that Chavo became the ECW champion and then entered the Royal Rumble as world champion because he wanted the world title shot. Okay. So, anyway. Damn it. But yes, CM Punk's above RVD on my list. Please, the gods of extreme, don't smite me down.
Yes. Coming in at number 7 is trying to think of a good way to describe this man other than his moniker, the King of Old School.
Yes.
Steve Corino.
I am so glad Steve's being brought up because I was glad Steve was brought up when Cody and the build toward WrestleMania was starting with Paul, and Cody brought up Paul bringing Dusty in to ECW to feud with Steve Corino. And this is before Steve became the champion. And, you know, the 2000 booked ECW World Champions, a lot of people kind of take with a grain of salt because the company was on its decline and it was the post Mike Awesome era, and it was just like, all right, let's just be the weatherman in California in 2023 and spin the wheel and see what the hell happens. But to his credit, Steve Corino and somebody else we're going to bring up here a little later took that championship with pride, defended it with as much honor as a old school heel can, if we're being honest, and just made it work. Steve Corino being ECW champion, at least for my money, really allowed people to see that he could be something more than just a talking, obnoxious blonde head who was getting his ass kicked by the Dweem. Led to him being the NWA champion in an era that the NWA desperately needed credible people to hold the 10 pounds of gold prior to the launch of TNA. And it really allowed WWE audiences to look back in retrospective and respect the reasoning for him being hired as a producer. Steve Corino was grossly underrated throughout his career, and it's a crime that he wasn't a bigger star on a bigger stage than the original ECW or the grossly independent and highly unseen NWA.
Yeah.
Such a solid performer all around. Can't say that shit enough.
Coming in at number 6 is a man that you just kind of mentioned. You know, like you said, the 2000s champions were kind of what they were as a result for the shenanigans caused by our number 6 ECW champion, Mike Awesome. And Jeff really had to fight on this one for me because realistically speaking, and I tried my damnedest to put the shenanigans aside because that's always hindered my beliefs and my feelings towards Awesome.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, aside from winning the belt in the triple threat that was Taz's last match, aside from the feud with Tanaka in ECW, and aside from losing the belt to Taz as a contracted WCW wrestler versus a contracted WWF wrestler in an ECW arena,
yeah,
gee, that sounds like a Forbidden Door match. I honestly can't remember too many defenses and matches from Awesome's reign.
Right.
So Jeff really had to push this one for me. Go ahead, Jeff.
At the end of the day, yes, the way he became champion was dubious as far as they had to get the belt off of Taz. And it was Taz's last match as the world champion. Yes, he had the match with RVD at November to Remember or whatever, but Taz was leaving. That was it. He was done. And they had to do something. And yes, the way he left the company and dropped the title because he had to, because he was being a contractual shitbag about it. By the way, Adam Pierce, I love that word shitbag. I'm using that forever now. Thank you for saying that on Twitter, whatever. Or no, it was on Twitter. It was during the 7 Levels of Hate documentary. I heard him say that. I'm like, that's my new word. Shitbag's a thing now. It's going to be it. Anyway, so thank you, Pierce. Love you, brother. Miss you, dude.
Hashtag shitbag.
Hashtag shitbag. That's right. That's gonna be one of the shirts if I can get it through. Anyhow, but yeah, Mike was being an incredible shitbag about leaving the ECW title behind to take Bischoff's money. I mean, Ted Turner's money or whatever. Whoever the hell was running the company at the time. That one guy that 1 week that was running WCW. Because that's when it filmed 2000. Anyhow, but he was the world champion for the majority of the TNN era. And whether we agree or disagree that TNN was the greatest thing that happened in ECW or the albatross that sunk them under the water, the reason Mike is not looked upon as favorably, other than the way he left, which I grant fully deserved, is because he wasn't the most visible champion on the program. Because I was going to say, there's a reason that their world television champion and the title actually meant something in ECW, because it was being defended by the best wrestler in the company. And again, that's not me pontificating about my friend. That's the fucking truth. RVD was the best guy in the company. Period. End of sentence. And had he not rolled his ankle in a match with Rhino in the beginning of 2000, he would have been the world champion in the original ECW, because he was booked to face Mike Awesome. And we would have had none of this bullshit shenanigans with Mike as a result. Again, butterfly effect is a mucker feather, kids, but that's how it is. Because he had that blow-off match with Sabu, guilty as charged, because Sabu was bouncing. And then at a random house show in, ironically, Massachusetts. Can we not have bad things in ECW have in Massachusetts anymore? Just no more. Stop. Looking at you, New Jack. Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, New Jack didn't do nothing. He was innocent.
New Jack's about as innocent as the hunter that killed Bambi's mom. Okay, come on. Let's be real.
If New Jack was guilty, then he would have written a book 10 years later about how he would have done it.
Disclaimer.
Moving right along.
Moving along quickly. Whoa. Oh boy. Again,
so that's the bottom half of the list.
Yes. I don't disagree with you, but you're out of line. Anyway.
I'm out of line, but I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Starting off the second half of the list.
Yes.
And out of the 5 on this half of the list, this one I had to fight the most for.
Yeah, I mean,
Jeff felt that Awesome should be in this spot.
Yep, I did.
And because of my pitch about memorable defenses and his reign in general, he conceded with me.
I did.
Because personally, I felt Awesome should have been at 7, Carino 6, and then this gentleman at 5. But that's where production meetings come in handy, chittens. You know, we discuss, we debate, and then we agree. And after I did my sales pitch, number 5 coming in is not just the coolest, he's not the best, and he damn sure ain't from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. That was his tag team partner. However, number 5 is, in fact, Justin Credible.
And his googly eye.
Because, I mean,
yes,
Justin Credible picked up the sack of shit that was dropped by Mike Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And man, did he do great things with it.
He really did.
If you want to talk ECW and look up the definition of turning chicken shit into chicken salad, you're going to find Justin's name.
Yeah, it's very much the whole situation. Taz being allowed to go to the house show, become champion, beating Awesome, Tommy Dreamer beating Taz, so Taz can go back to the WWF and
getting squashed by Triple H.
Triple H before dropping the title to Tommy, because God forbid. But then Justin, man, not only does Justin get the title, he gets the girl. Like, he completely heals everything about Tommy. I don't mean heal as in fix. I mean heal as in double healed it up, completely screwed the poor bastard out of everything he had. Because you have to remember, this is a Tommy Dreamer at the end of 99 going into 2000 that was in a partnership with Raven out of sheer necessity, because Raven came and saved his ass from a Dudley beatdown, and in the process they became the World Tag Team Champions. And they were actually getting along-ish. Yeah.
For half a cup of coffee.
Right. Well, yeah. And then, Francine's with him, and because Shane Douglas is gone. Like I said, ECW would have been the Titanic, except Titan Sports is WWF and ECW. So anyway, so Tommy loses the championship. He in storyline had sought for so long, and meanwhile Tom Offin's going, God damn it, everybody else is gone. You're really gonna give this shit to me, Paulie? Yeah, but I got a great idea. I'm gonna give it to PJ. Oh, okay, cool, perfect. Do that. Yeah. And in the process, Dreamer and Credible have an amazing series of matches after they had already had arguably the feud of the year the previous year in ECW.
Yeah.
Because Credible dogged Tommy almost as much as Raven. Almost. And with the title being involved and with Francine now I'm back on the dark side, the freaking volume level just got jacked up. It was so good. And a lot of it was because Justin was such a sinister son of a bitch.
Well, I mean, you do your time in the WWF as Aldo Montoya with a fucking jockstrap over your face as a mask, and tell me you're not coming in pissed off, ready to murder somebody.
Well, yeah, if you spent your WWF career, smelling like ball sweat, I'd be pissed off too. Exactly. It is what it is. But man, not only did he drop the ECW tag titles, in the trash essentially, to become the world champion, people thought, okay, well, Lance will beat him and that'll be no. Lance put him over in a hell of a match, and then Lance went to WCW with Awesome. So,
to be fair, Lance had enough of Paulie's checks bouncing and had given him the 3 strikes.
Yes.
And after the 3rd strike, he was like, I'm not leaving yet, but as soon as I get a deal, I'm gone.
Yeah. And to Lance's credit, he was Justin's first major victory as world champion because Lance did business.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Lance Storm. Another guy that probably should have been the ECW world champion in hindsight. But, we digress because that isn't what this show is. Buy that shirt, though, because that's what we do on this show is shill shirt.
We shill.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We are the freaking we are the freaking DX of the multiverse of media, man. We always be shilling. Every day we be shilling. Dun, 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 dun.
So I guess that would make you Hunter, and I'm Sean.
Well, no, because Sean's Balder.
Now. But for a while there, Hunter was bald and Sean still had hair.
Well, no. Well, let's see. We'll figure it out.
I mean, Sean does still have hair and Hunter's bald, so
Well, yeah, but Sean's hair is always in the cowboy hat for reasons.
Hey. It's not a cowboy hat, but it's in the hat, just saying.
Fair. Anyway.
Moving on from Just Incredible. Coming in at number 4 is a man who did have the skill to be a horseman and probably would have been a pretty good enforcer of the Horsemen, if we're being honest. However, Jeff has had Twitter beef with this gentleman. Believe he's blocked by this gentleman.
I am. And I earned it.
Over a gentleman that Jeff today wouldn't go to bat for with a stick and a rock.
No.
But he is the human suplex machine, Taz. 1Z, not 2.
That's right. Although, Taz Tuesday was also ECW champion, so there is that. Yeah, look. I'm not Pete Sinurch's biggest fan. Let me be clear. All right. But Taz was the champion, or was going to be the champion, when I first really started watching ECW.
Yeah.
Because the first show I ever watched, I'll never forget it. I can tell you where I was in my friend's house when I saw this show. Because it's my old best friend, Greg, not Greg Cherry. You don't know this, Greg, because he designed my shirts for about 45 seconds and then disappeared off the face of the earth again. But he used to live on the other side of the street from me here, going toward our old high school. And I walked into his house in January of 1999 on a Sunday and watched Guilty as Charged on the black box. Shh, don't tell Time Warner. And, and people are going, what's a black box? I thought that was for airplanes. Yeah, look it up, kids. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, you're too damn young for this show. Get the hell out of here.
Especially with the topic being extreme.
That's right. We use colorful language on this show as it is. Now we're talking about pirate boxes. No. Anyway.
And not pirate Paul Burchill.
Well, no, Paul Burchill will be on the top 10 gimmick list as far as worst goes. Anyway, and love you, Paul, but damn. Between that and the incest thing with Kat, like, oh my God, stop. No, WWE, it's a bad WWE. Anyway. Walked into that house and watched Taz defeat the franchise, Shane Douglas, for the World Championship. And you talk about a guy who dominated a brand, dominated the company, man. Taz only dropped the title because he was leaving for the WWF.
Mm-hmm.
He may still be ECW champion now if he wasn't doing that. Like, damn. Like, seriously.
Taz was their Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
He was the guy that they were going to put all the eggs in the basket for, that UFC style, the technical amateur background. Taz was that guy. And much like Lesnar in 2004, he thought he saw greener pastures, so he left.
Yeah.
And I think we can all honestly say, and I think if Pete Sinurcha was sitting here, which granted wouldn't happen because Jeff, but if he was sitting here, he would say that WWF was not greener pastures.
No.
Because
money-wise, yes.
Because within a month, they've got him jobbing out to Triple H.
Couple of months, but yeah, it's one of those. Taz was the big fight feel in a time that ECW was just starting to really have the big fights pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason he and Sabu were the advertised main event of the first pay-per-view. They were the Rock Hogan of that show.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't close the show, but they're the ones that drew the house. Yes. The three-way dance and Terry Funk becoming world champion was a beautiful moment, but it wasn't what was on the majority of the poster, the big marquee thing, if you will. It was Taz, and it was Sabu, and it was a grudge match. And that is one of the reasons why Sabu, while low on our world champions list, will always be in the discussion of pillars of ECW. Him, Taz, Tommy, and arguably any one of the top three on our list today. And if you really want to have the house be supported properly, all three of them, that we have 6 pillars.
Yeah.
Because, it's California and the rains are a thing and mudslides are real. So, gotta make
sure earthquakes.
And earthquakes, yeah. And granted, they're in South Philly, not Southern California, but the weather sucks here, so I'm talking about the topical thing. Anyway. Anyhow, number 3, Jay.
Number 3, honestly, at the end of the day, if number 3 didn't change his gimmick up from the surfer to what we know him as today, there's no blueprint for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Nope.
That's the tweet.
Yeah.
The Sandman.
And without this version of the Sandman, we don't have arguably the greatest multi-botched promo in the history of NerdQ.com. Other than AJ Styles, to be fair. Because AJ was comical about it because he kept screwing up on accident. Sandman was just too goddamn drunk to get through the promo.
But I mean...
Anyway.
You think about the beer drinking, the cigarette smoking. You think about the attitude.
Yes.
This is Stone Cold Steve Austin before Stone Cold Steve Austin was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I don't know if Austin would ever admit it or if he has admitted it. But that's like I said, that's the tweet right there. Without Sandman changing his shtick from the surfer bleach blonde hair to this, there's no Stone Cold.
Nope. And you talk about a time in ECW history where the title, as important as the World Championship always is, almost became secondary because of his rivalry, his grudge feud with number 2. The title was the original backdrop of what became the most personal rivalry in ECW history. Yes, even more than Tommy versus number 2.
Yeah.
Because of how twisted down the Primrose Path we got with Sandman and
Raven. Pictured here with his nest because it was just such a great photo.
Hell yes. Hell yes, it is.
I mean, you've got Stevie Richards in the role of Big Baller G. He is super happy to be there.
Right.
You've got Meanie, who, by the angle of the shot, looks like he's bottomless.
Right? Ugh, right? Good grief.
Which completely explains Raven and Kimona's expression.
Right? And then there's Kimona, who we wish was bottomless in the match, but shot, but you know.
But I mean, before there was the flock, before there was the gathering, there was the nest.
Yep.
And while this isn't the entirety of his crew,
no,
this is probably the best known of his crew, at least by the ECW diehards.
This is the NWO Hall of Fame version of the overall NWO.
Yeah. Because if you put in the entire NWO, you got to put in Virgil.
Yeah.
Stevie Ray gets a second induction.
Yeah. Disco Inferno's a thing. David Flair's a Hall of Famer. Well, hey, David Flair's the Hall of Famer in life, to be fair. I'm going to give him some love here for a minute. Because Tori and Stacy both, dude. Bravo, David. Right on, dude. Love you, David Flair. But the entirety of the nest is... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But Raven, arguably, and for me, it was really tough between this and our number 1. And if you haven't figured out who number 1 is by now, then you can just turn this off and wait for the live stream to start for RawAfterMania.
Yeah.
Because if you consider yourself a historian of ECW and you've seen all these names and you haven't figured out who number 1 is, then you just don't belong on this show.
Yeah, and you're not paying attention to the last,
But for me, it really came down to Raven or our number 1.
Yeah.
And there's solid arguments and points to be made for both, because at the end of the day, number 1 left the company multiple times.
He did.
Nickname of the company notwithstanding, he bounced more than once. Raven left once, I'll give you.
Yep.
He left for WCW, did his cup of coffee there, came back.
Yep.
But I don't think ECW as a whole gets over as extreme without the brain and the creativity that is Scott Levy.
I agree, without a doubt.
We discussed on the Feud show, every single thing spiraled out of Raven and Tommy.
Yep.
The Dudleys became a thing. The BWO became a thing. Raven and Sandman became a thing.
Cactus. Jack was part of Raven's
Mikey
Nest.
Whipwreck.
And Mikey, yep, everything. Everything
spiraled off of that. So Raven very easily could have been number one. And the fact that number one is where everything started is really the only reason why he's number one at the end of the day, in my opinion.
That's the starting point of why he's number one for me.
But you think about, as you were alluding to with Raven and Sandman, and turning a wife and a son against a father. You think about
God,
the 2-3 year feud with Tommy, and how the only reason Tommy got a W over Raven was because he was leaving for WCW, and you couldn't let him leave.
No.
And Tommy still lose.
No. But then he loses the night anyway because Lawler and RVD and Sabu attack him and take out his testicles. So did he really get the W? No, because he can't. Because it's Tommy Dreamer. But man, you're right. It was a discussion. It was the hardest part of the discussion besides the bottom of the list. It really was.
Yeah. Go ahead and throw it to the number one, Jeff.
Well no. I mean, all right. Well, whatever. The franchise. Shane Douglas, pictured in the moment that he becomes the declares himself, let me be clear on that, declares himself the ECW heavyweight champion of the world, and is bolstered the next TV episode by Todd Gordon, the commissioner, the founder of ECW, as the world champion. Despite the protesting of Dennis Coralluzzo of the NWA after Shane had thrown down the 10 pounds of gold in the middle of the ECW arena.
The glorious 10 pounds of gold that goes back to the Flairs, the Rhodeses, the Races, the Funks.
Yes.
And they all can kiss his ass.
Yes. And the moment was everything that Todd and Paul wanted it to be. 3 people in the building knew about it. Todd, Paul, and Shane. Even the guy that Shane beat in the finals of the NWA title tournament, 2 Gold Scorpio, didn't know. The NWA sure shit didn't know, did they, Dennis? Joey didn't know. Joey Styles didn't know. He's reacting for real. No idea.
Mm-hmm.
That set the tone for just how extreme ECW was going to be for the next 6.5 years.
Yeah.
And again, everybody who talked about in this hour, yes, they all had their place, had their moment as to why they were amongst the best ECW world champions.
Yeah.
But without the franchise, Shane Douglas, there is no world on ECW world champion.
Yeah.
That, as much as Sandman, that's the tweet about Sandman being Stone Cold, influence. That's the post. Without Shane Douglas, there is no world in ECW world champion. That's why he's the greatest. And after he does this, he goes on to reign for a grand total of, feels like he was champion the entirety of the next 5 years. You figure his reign that began at Hardcore Heaven 97 after Sabu had survived, didn't win, survived Born to Be Wired with Terry. He was champion all of the rest of 97. Yes, he got hurt, but he was champion for the entirety of 1998 in a time where world champions didn't reign for a full year anymore. No, I'm not talking about Hogan, you WCW Mark. Shut up. I'm a Hulkamaniac in NWO, brother. That year reign was bullshit in 96, 97. I said what the hell I said. And I still mean it, and I still own the fact that I'm going to get Hulkamania hate. Whatever, I don't care. Shane was champion for all of 98. And again, got Taz where Taz needed to be at the beginning of 99.
Yep.
Shane Douglas is the greatest ECW champion, world or otherwise, in the not just the Extreme era, the entire 10 years that company was in operation.
There you go.
Period. And the fact that because Shane is who he is, he won't be WWE Hall of Famer sucks. But is there anything more extreme about a wrestling personality than the fact that they won't go into the WWE Hall of Fame?
I don't know, man. I mean, if this last year and a half has taught me anything, it's never say never.
True.
And if there was ever a time to do it, it's going to be next year when WrestleMania is in Philly. I am hoping for an entire Extreme class.
Well, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
You think about all the names from ECW that are deserving that aren't in there.
True, very
Obviously, Paulie's going to be the headliner. If he's not, they already done messed up.
Right.
But you've got Raven, Sandman, and Tommy. Just right there, you've already got a class.
Yeah.
You've got Shane. You can put the BWO in there.
Yeah,
Because let's be real. Are Stevie, Meanie, or Chetty going to get in there on their own? Or excuse me, Nova? Are they going to get in there on their own? No. But as the BWO? Hell yeah. And you know what would be funnier? Have Nash induct him.
That's right.
Just because. Because you know he was down there in WCW the whole time freaking laughing his ass off.
Yes, he was.
But
you mentioned,
you've got Sabu, who deserves to go in.
If he shows up.
The Dudleys are in, but let's put Spike in.
Yeah, Bammer.
And Bubba and Devon can induct him.
Yep. I will say this.
There's so many names that deserve it. Taz.
I was going to say Taz if he's not, if he's not with AEW full at that point, why not? My argument, I'm not arguing against Shane going in because, God damn it, Shane Douglas deserves it. And you say never. The reason he's on the outs with the WWE was because he was so anti-click.
I know.
And, the click runs the show.
I know.
So.
Francine.
Oh, God, Francine.
They've been calling Liv Morgan the Queen of Extreme the last few weeks on SmackDown. It's like, no.
Yeah. Franny not happy about that either, for the record.
I know she's not. I've seen her tweets.
Oh, yeah. She's not happy.
No.
Yeah, no. And granted, it's not hating on Liv, it's hating on the company, rightfully so. Yes. Philly is definitely the city to do a ECW heavy class because effing duh, right? And God, like I said, Shane, everybody on this list, I think, ultimately deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are in already. Rob's in there already. Terry Funk, isn't he former ECW champion? He's in there. He wasn't on our list, but he's definitely in there. Actually, the only one on this list that's in there, I take that back, is
Rob.
Is Rob. And again, I think of everybody on this list, the least likely, if there is a more least likely than Douglas, is CM Punk. At least right now.
Yeah.
The wind changes, Mary Poppins style. You never know. So, and yes, I mean, the Mary Poppins comparison on ECW show. What the hell? I realized as I said it, I'm like, it's out of place. But in that vein,
yes,
the next time you will see us here as the Dads will not be on the Monday, for one thing. Nay.
Actually, yes, it will, because it'll be immediately following this when we do the West Coast coverage of RawAfterMania.
Fair. Well, okay.
5:00 Pacific, 8 Eastern, the coverage will begin immediately following this broadcast. James and Noah will be doing the commentary for the East Coast feed, and then the West Coast professor and I will get the hot tag, come in, and do the show all over again for the West Coast feed, much like we did for Raw is 30.
That's right. RawAfterMania, where it all begins again.
And who knows what kind of surprises may be in store for the RawAfterMania.
I don't know if I can handle anything more after last night. I'm just glad we have a little bit of a buffer while Noah and James call the first part of the show because I'm going to get myself a nice hot cup of tea to get over this WrestleMania hangover.
Something, because holy hell.
Because between my throat and my booze intake, I'm done. And today we only went an hour, thank goodness. But
But we still got the shows to get through, Meacham. Let's not.
I know. Well, yeah, that's okay. But where I was alluding to was,
yes,
the next time we come together as the dads for a dads episode will not be on the Monday, nay, because we're moving back to Fridays. It's a thing. I'm very excited about this one. The top 10 TV villains.
I'm glad you're excited because this has been hard as hell for me to rack my brain for, because at the end of the day, I watch sitcoms.
Well, yeah.
There's not really a villain in a sitcom. And if there is, it's not a long-standing villain.
True that. True. Very true.
You know, Saved by the Bell. You could say that Jesse's brother for that episode was a villain.
Right.
But that was one, maybe two episodes.
Yes.
You can say that the character that Salil Moonfry played, trying to get Screech's sauce and everything,
yes,
was a villain. But that's one episode.
True.
Zach Morris may be trash, but he's not a TV villain.
That's right.
Despite his shenanigans, you know.
Johnny, what's his name? That was the drug addict. You know.
No. You just don't have villains like that in sitcoms.
I got the TV.
I Love Lucy. There's no villain in I Love Lucy.
No. I got
Andy
one
Griffith Show.
Otis is liquor salesman. Come on.
Aside from the Christmas episode where the one guy is like the whole Scrooge shtick.
That's fair.
There's no villain. Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step.
The villain in Saved by the Bell is NBC execs for doing the spinoff show.
Which one?
The
College Years, the new class, or the more recent one?
The more recent one for sure.
Okay.
College Years had potential.
College Years was freaking epic.
Yes, it was.
Loved it.
It only ran like 5 episodes, but damn it, they were good episodes.
It lasted for one season.
I know.
That's not saying much in an era where there was 90210 already, and they were trying to compete with the established
in prime time. It's like, this is Saturday morning show. What are you doing to our people? And then Timothy Thiessen's like, well, as long as we're competing, we're going to be done anyway.
Right?
I'll just go down to Beverly Hills from Bayside here. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Damn it. So we've got that for the next time the dads are coming together. Of course, we've got our regular shtick.
Yes.
Stat Boy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou tomorrow and every Tuesday, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern.
Yes. I am unsure of my attendance as producer on that because I will be on the No DQ Review WrestleMania Recap Edition. So we'll see if I show up at the sports bar or not. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, even right now. So
the Greg Cherry Show, Wednesdays, again, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern.
Yes.
And then we have Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, buddy.
And man, oh man, are the shows getting juicier and juicier with each passing week.
I don't know, man. After last week and your shenanigans.
You know, it's all downhill from there, though, I think. I think that was the last one that you really had to worry about.
That's fair. Well, yeah, you had to worry about that
at least as far as the Hardy conversation goes. There may be some diatribe we get into on an episode of Dads or Renegade or one of the 500 spin-off mashup shows, but you know.
As much as I was looking forward to what I got to do Saturday, it was so hard to keep a straight face going out Undertaker and going, don't mention Jay, don't mention Jay, don't mention Jay. Because it was like, he gonna kill me and he gonna kill Jay by proxy. He gonna find Victor Ville, be like, what you said? So I was,
and then amongst all of that, this week on Renegade's Reviews,
Yeah, buddy.
Kicking off our movies that star musicians.
Woo!
Rio Bravo went live today.
Yeah, buddy.
John Wayne Western, but it also stars Dean Martin without Jerry Lewis.
Yes.
And Ricky Nelson, hot on the heels of Ozzy and Harriet.
Yeah, buddy.
We're talking teen heartthrob Nelson here.
Hell yes.
Wednesday, Help, starring the Beatles. Had to slide a Beatles movie in here somewhere.
Well, yeah, come on now.
And you figure I've only got a Hard Day's Night and Help left. I'm saving a Hard Day's Night for if and when I ever do musicals again.
Oh, there you go.
Plus, that's a fictional day in the life of them. This is an actual movie.
Right.
The Who's rock opera, Tommy.
Yeah.
You know, you've got The Who, you've got Tina Turner, you've got Elton John as the pinball wizard. You've got so many names that pop up in this one. Yes. And then new release Saturday for this coming week, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Obviously not starring a musician, but hey, you know, new release Saturdays can't always stick to the shtick, so.
Hey, I think Zachary Levi can carry a tune just fine on his own. That's okay. So there you go. So that is what's coming up, folks. And again, we appreciate you sticking with us for the just over the hour. Hopefully with edits, we'll get it down. Because, you know, full disclosure, we're not actually taping it. I just feel like doing the shtick because I'm probably legitimately going to be freaking hungover as we do this for real. So you know, it is what it is. Right. So thank God for hot teas and decent food to put in my belly between now and 8 o'clock.
Yes.
But I said it. I said it after night 2, but thank you all again for tuning in all week, last week, and for the last 2 days, man. It was what it was. It was WrestleMania and I was there. It just, you know, can't say a whole lot more than that except, what can I say except thank you.
And thank you to everybody out there in the multiverse of media family that has helped me get monetized.
Yes.
It is our first time, just the two of us, since it occurred. Thank you, Jeff, for everything you have done to shill and push and get us towards that goal.
Yes.
Thank you to Noah and James. Thank you to Statboy. Thank you to Aaron Rift.
Yes.
And thank you to all of the viewers of the Casa D18 Studios and the multiverse of media in general, because without you guys watching the product, whether you just tune in on a daily basis or you've been, you know, putting playlists on loop to help get them numbers up, whatever the case may be, thank you, because as you guys already know, we are there, but I just wanted to take this moment on DADS to once again thank everybody. For the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham, I am the Renegade JJ Williams.
The monetized Renegade JJ Williams.
Yes, thank you all for tuning in today. We appreciate your viewership. And until our Villains show in 2 weeks, we'll see you guys then.
We'll see you for Raw.